Welcome to the podcast, where a passion meets purpose and limits are challenged. I'm your host, Eleonora Gendelman. Let's start bending reality. Imagine waking up one day to find that everything you've ever known has vanished. Your memories, your habits, your very identity is gone. Terrifying, isn't it? What if this isn't just a thought experiment, but a reality you're living right now, every single day? You have the power to completely reinvent yourself. The person you were yesterday doesn't have to be the person you are today. Yet, how many of us truly embrace this power? How many of us are trapped in the prison of our past selves, held captive by inconsistency and unfulfilled potential? Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the version of yourself you've always dreamed of becoming. The one who's achieved all your goals, overcome all your fears, and lives a life with purpose. Now, open your eyes. Why isn't that person staring back at you in the mirror? Consistency. Or rather, the lack of it. Consistency is the hidden force that shapes our reality. It's the invisible hand guiding our thoughts, our actions, and ultimately our destiny. But consistency isn't something that happens to us. It is something we create moment by moment, choice by choice. Think about the last time you set a goal for yourself. Maybe it was to exercise consistently, to learn a new skill, or to meditate. How long did your enthusiasm last? A week, a month, or just a few days? We've all been there. We start with the best intentions, excited with motivation and big visions of success, but then life happens. We get busy, we get tired, we get distracted. And before we know it, we are right back where we started, wondering why we can't seem to make lasting changes in our lives. But what if we knew that the cycle of starting and stopping isn't our fault? What if we knew that our brain is actually wired to resist change, to stick to the familiar even when it no longer serves us? This is where the real magic begins. Because once we understand the science behind consistency, once we realize how our brain works and how to work with it rather than against it, we unlock a power that can literally reshape our reality. Imagine for a moment that our mind is like a wilderness. Every thought you think and reaction you take is like carving a path through this wilderness. The first time you walk this path, it's difficult. You have to push through bushes, climb over fallen trees, navigate around obstacles. But what happens if you walk the same path every single day? It becomes easier, doesn't it? The ground becomes walked. The obstacles are cleared away. Eventually, with enough repetition, this once difficult journey becomes effortless, a habit. This is the essence of neuroplasticity. Your brain's ability to rewire itself based on your consistent thoughts and actions. It's the reason why forcing yourself to be consistent isn't just about willpower or discipline. It's about literally changing the physical structure of your brain. But here's where it gets really interesting. Your brain doesn't just respond to your physical actions, it responds to your thoughts, your emotions, your very intentions. This means that consistency isn't just about what you do. It's about who you become. Every time you choose to act in alignment with your goals, you're not just making progress towards those goals. You are reinforcing neural pathways that make it easier to make that same choice in the future. You're literally becoming a different person. The person who naturally and effortlessly takes those actions. This is why consistency is so powerful, and why the lack of it can be so devastating. When you are inconsistent, you are not just failing to make progress. You are reinforcing the neural pathways of your old self, the one who doesn't achieve their goals, who doesn't live up to their potential. Inconsistency can trap you in old pattern. Consistency can free you from them. And it doesn't require dramatic life changes. It simply requires a commitment to small, consistent actions taken day after day, week after week. This is where most people go wrong. They try to change everything at once to become a completely different person overnight. But that's not how our brain works. Our brain changes gradually through repeated exposure to new thoughts and behaviors. So the question isn't whether you can transform your life. The question is, are you willing to commit to the consistent actions that will lead to that transformation? Are you ready to push past the initial discomfort, to keep going even when you don't see immediate results, to trust in the process of change? Because forcing yourself to be consistent isn't easy. It requires courage, it requires faith. It requires a willingness to let go of who you've been in order to become who you are meant to be. But the rewards, they are beyond anything we can imagine. Because when we master consistency, we don't just change our actions, we change our very reality. We step into a world where anything is possible, where our deepest dreams and aspirations aren't just fantasies, but inevitable outcomes of our consistent choices. So, are you ready to embark on this journey? Are you prepared to harness the power of consistency and become the architect of your own destiny? Because if you are, you're about to discover a truth that will change everything. The key to unlocking your full potential isn't out there somewhere. It's within you, waiting to be unleashed through the unstoppable force of consistency. Let's dive deeper into the fascinating world of our brain and uncover the neuroscience behind consistency. This knowledge isn't just interesting, it's the key to unlocking our true potential. Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to break old habits or form new ones? Why does it feel like you are fighting against yourself every time you try to make a positive change in your life? The answer lies in the workings of our brain. Your brain is an incredibly complex organ composed of billions of neurons connected by trillions of synapses. These connections form neural pathways, which are like highways of information. Every thought you think, every action you take, every habit you form, they all create and strengthen these neural pathways. Your brain is constantly trying to conserve energy. It does this by automating as many processes as possible. This is why habits are so powerful. They are your brain's way of putting certain behaviors on autopilot, freeing up mental resources for other tasks. This efficiency comes at a cost. Once a neural pathway is established, your brain prefers to use it, even if it's not the best option. This is why breaking bad habits can be so challenging. You are not just fighting against the behavior, you are fighting against the very structure of your brain. Now, imagine your brain as a garden. Your thoughts and actions are like paths through this garden. The more you think a certain thought or perform a certain action, the more well-worn that path becomes. This is the physical manifestation of habit in your brain. But here's an important point. You are the gardener. Through consistent thoughts and actions, you have the power to clear new paths, to create highways where there were once only overgrown trails. This is the essence of neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout your life. Neuroplasticity is the game changer. It means that no matter how ingrained your habits are, no matter how set in your ways you might feel, change is always possible. Your brain is not fixed. It's plastic, constantly adapting to your experiences and behaviors. But just as consistent positive actions can rewire your brain for success, consistent negative actions can reinforce harmful patterns. This is why consistency is so important. Every time you choose to act in alignment with your goals, you're not just making progress, you are literally reshaping your brain. Let's break this down into practical terms. When you first try to establish a new habit, let's say daily meditation, it feels difficult. Your brain has to work hard, using up a lot of energy to perform this unfamiliar task. But if you persist, if you meditate every single day without fail, something magical starts to happen in neural pathways associated with meditation. Neurons that fire together, wire together. The more you repeat the action, the stronger and more efficient these pathways become. Eventually, sitting down to meditate becomes as natural and automatic as brushing your teeth. This is the power of consistency. It's not just about willpower or discipline. It's about literally changing the physical structure of your brain to support your goals and aspirations. But it's even deeper than that. Your brain doesn't just respond to your actions. It responds to your thoughts and emotions as well. This is where the concept of mental rehearsal comes into play. Studies have shown that mentally rehearsing an action can have almost the same effect on your brain as physically performing that action. When you vividly imagine yourself performing a task, the same neural pathways are activated as when you actually perform it. This means that consistent visualization and mental practice can help rewire your brain even before you take physical action. It means that every time you sit down to visualize your goals, to mentally rehearse the actions that will lead to success, you're not just daydreaming. You are actively rewiring your brain. You are creating and strengthening the neural pathways that will make those actions easier when you actually perform them. This is why consistency in your thoughts is just as important as consistency in your actions. Your brain doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. By consistently focusing your thoughts on your goals, on the person you want to become, you are priming your brain for success. And here's where many of us go wrong. We try to change everything at once. We set ambitious goals and try to change our entire life overnight. But trying to create too many neural pathways at once can overwhelm our brain, leading to mental fatigue and ultimately failure. The key is to start small. Focus on one new habit at a time. Be consistent with it, no matter how tiny the action might seem. Remember, you're not just trying to achieve a goal. You are rewiring your brain, and that takes time. Let's say you want to become a morning person. Instead of suddenly trying to wake up at 5 a.m. every day, start by setting your alarm just 15 minutes earlier than usual. Do this consistently for a week or two. Once this becomes easy, set it another 15 minutes earlier. Gradually, over time, you'll rewire your brain to naturally wake up earlier. This gradual approach works because it aligns with how your brain naturally changes. It's like slowly turning a ship. Small, consistent adjustments over time lead to a complete change in direction. Consistency isn't just about repeating actions. It's about maintaining a consistent emotional state. Your emotions play a huge role in forming and strengthening neural pathways. When you consistently generate positive emotions associated with your goals, you strengthen the neural networks related to those goals. This is where the power of gratitude comes in. By consistently practicing gratitude, especially for progress towards your goals, you create a positive emotional state that reinforces the neural pathways associated with those goals. You are not just changing your actions, you are changing your entire emotional landscape. Let's talk about the role of stress in this process. When you're stressed, your brain releases cortisol, which can actually inhibit neuroplasticity. This means that stress can make it harder for you to form new habits and break old ones. This is why self-care and stress management are very important components of consistency. By consistently practicing stress reduction techniques like meditation, deep breathing, and exercise, you create an optimal environment in your brain for change. You're not just reducing stress, you are enhancing your brain's ability to rewire itself. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of consistency is its compound effect. Each consistent action, each repetition of a thought or behavior isn't just a single event. It's laying the groundwork for future actions. It's making the next repetition easier, more natural. Each repetition builds on the last, creating a momentum that becomes virtually unstoppable. This is why consistency is so much more powerful than intensity. It's not about making dramatic changes or heroic efforts. It's about showing up day after day and taking small actions that align with your goals. It's about trusting the process, knowing that each consistent action is rewiring your brain, bringing you closer to the person you want to become. Remember, your brain is not your enemy in this process. It's your greatest ally. By understanding how it works, by harnessing the power of neuroplasticity through consistency, you can literally reshape your mind. Every time you choose to be consistent, you're not just going through the motions. You are creating new neural pathways that will make future actions easier. You are becoming the person you aspire to be. This is a true power of consistency. It's not just about achieving goals. It's about transformation at the deepest level. It's about becoming a person for whom success is not just possible, but inevitable. Stay tuned for part 2 in the next episode. Thank you for choosing yourself, doing the work, and creating change. Keep living with purpose.